Hi, this is Brian from Abstrakt Instruments. I'm back again to go over the design philosophy of the Avalon synth and the cartridge system. Since we're a new company, we thought it would be a good idea to do this so everyone can understand what we're up to and what we're trying to achieve with the new products. Our main goal is to make professional musical instruments and accessories with premium performance and build quality. All of the products are designed and made in the United States, and we control all parts inventory and quality control over all aspects of the designs. For the Avalon Bassline, the enclosure is steel. The unit weighs approximately 5.2 pounds or 2.5 kilograms. The Rotary Controls are custom spec'd. They have a smoother and slightly higher rotational torque than the typical off-the-shelf parts you'll find, and they're all secured to the panel with panel nuts. The main sequencer switches are high-quality German key switches, and the step LED switches are also high-quality parts. Same goes for the connectors on the back of the unit. None of the parts are third-party knockoffs. They're all high-quality parts from manufacturers such as Alps, Nutric, eSwitch, and Poseidon. As you can see here, the rear panel comes off and reveals access to all the trimmers and test points for when the time may come down the line when you need to calibrate the unit. Incidentally, the oscillator can be calibrated with the bottom panel still on. I should also mention that there's a dip switch accessible from the bottom of the unit to adjust 3 settings of the unit. The first switch sets the frequency range of the cutoff pot. The Avalon ships with a wider frequency range than the stock 303. A small percentage of users might want the limited range of the 303, so we allow for this. The second switch allows you to increase the depth of envelope modulation, or the maximum modulation depth of the envelope mod control. We don't happen to prefer this, so the Avalon ships with the same range as the 303, but this switch allows you to increase the amount if you wish. It increases the amount of envelope mod at the maximum setting of the control by about 2.5 times the normal amount. The third switch sets the minimum amount of filter envelope modulation when the envelope mod control is at the minimum position. The 303 does not allow you to turn off envelope mod completely. There's still a bit of modulation when the control is at the minimum setting. The Avalon ships with the same settings as the 303, but the switch allows you to have no envelope modulation at the minimum setting for those who aren't so much interested in complete 303 authenticity and want to be able to turn it all the way off. Small details such as the feet has also been considered. They attach through the panel and aren't simple stick-ons, so they won't fall off. The second design goal of the Avalon Bassline was to fully replicate the analog and digital behavior of the original 303 bassline. Only after replicating the performance of the original bassline did we then proceed to add a new layer of analog and digital control. After a lot of R&D, we decided on a through-hole topology, using the original 303 parts and layout. Looking past the placement of the filter plug-in slot, the I/O, and the auxiliary power supply section around the perimeter, you will see the layout is the same as the original 303 bassline. So again, the core circuitry, being identical to the 303, is supplied by the same power supply design as the original unit, and the power consumption of the analog and digital sections, including the CPU and LEDs, is the same as the original. All of the additional circuitry that you will see later, the new layer of analog and digital control, is powered by its own power supply, which is tapped directly off the power input of the unit and has no bearing or load on the original 303 power supply. So what we have here is our main board, which is the same as the 303, with the addition of the MIDI and DIN-Sync I/O here, the auxiliary power supply section off to the right here, and the filter cart slot here. So right now we have an original 303 CPU installed to illustrate the circuit is the same. So we'll record a random pattern using the original CPU. Next, we'll replace the original microcontroller with the Avalon part. And again, we'll program a random pattern. Now, if we just go back to the bare mainboard, you can see the positions of the original controls remains the same. So all we do is place a panel board on top of the mainboard and simply move the original top panel controls directly above. Now on the Avalon, there is 8 additional rotary controls and 4 switches for the new additions to the analog voice, as well as the 16 switch LEDs for the additional sequencer control. Now, for those of you that still aren't convinced that we've duplicated the performance of the original 303 as a subset of the Avalon, or for those of you that are interested in the technical details, there is another video to follow this one that goes into technical details regarding the actual parts used in the Avalon Bassline. The third design goal of the Avalon was to complement the original features of the 303 Bassline with new control without getting in the way of the immediacy and simplicity of the original. So you can see the control surface is not overwhelming or intimidating, but rather just complements the original subset of controls, while at the same time it allows you to go way beyond the sound and capabilities of the original 303. An overview of the new features and controls is covered in the overview video, but here I'll detail more about the cartridge system. The plugin system was designed as a way to easily swap out core elements of the synth voice, such as oscillators and filters. Especially when you have an analog synth with lots of electronic parts, it's not easy to do this. So instead you end up with multiple synths or a modular system. In the case of the Avalon, we implemented a plug-in filter system, where the TB303 filter is replaced with a filter residing on the cartridge. In other design prototypes, we've implemented things like plug-in oscillators and drum voices such as kick drums and snare drums, etc. The specification of the filter plug-in system in the Avalon allows for any type of analog or digital filter, or combination of the two, although the first group of filter designs we've done so far are all fully analog. I should note that the switching of the filters in the Avalon is completely mechanical. There are no semiconductor devices, buffers, or other electronic parts in the audio path. So for example, when the internal 303 filter is selected, there is no disruption to the original design. Together with the semi-modular capability with the audio and CVIO, you have a flexible synth architecture where you can have different filters together with internal and external oscillators and signal sources, VCAs, filter control, and so forth. So obviously, between all the new features and controls, and capabilities. There's a whole lot more going on here than just a 303 clone. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks again for watching.